There's a wide variety of YouTubers on the platform, some that are very generous like MrBeast and others, and some that slander and manipulate their friends, which is the kind we're speaking about in today's video.
I had your IP, so if that's it, then I'm sorry. Pretty much the most toxic people only reside because it seems they're the only people who are willing to talk to me.
Messing about with you.
Because I was saying, can you stop? Kinda thinking I have crippling depression.
I was like a psychopath.
I never said it was a bad thing.
NomisYalf is a YouTube commentator in his mid-20s, although he constantly lies about his age, so he could be a bit younger. This serial guy of YouTube likes to lie and manipulate a lot of situations. Just take the Dingo situation, for example. The user Dingo was actually accused of some not very nice things, which an interview with me cleared his name before Nomis came out saying there was some incriminating evidence against him. This incriminating evidence was the fact that Nomis managed to pull Dingo's IP. Nomis coped heavily in this situation, saying that he did not do this to Dingo and that this was all a lie. However, when Dingo, Nomis, his best friend, and a couple of other people were in a VC, he actually said that he might have said this, but he didn't remember it after I said that he did say it.
I was going to say, I don't remember directly stating that I had your IP, so if that's it, then I'm sorry, genuinely. But I personally don't remember it that way.
So you just
and if
don't
that's
remember.
the case, then I'm sorry. If that's the case, then I'm sorry, okay? Is that what you wanted to hear? And if that is the case, then genuinely, I am. No, I'm not finished. My point being, I personally do not remember it that way. If that's how it is, then I genuinely apologize.
However, why would you apologize for something you don't remember if you didn't actually do it? Because of this situation where I agreed with Dingo and tried to set the record straight, Nomis branded me as a backstabber, a two-faced liar, and a betrayer. And he did a similar thing to one of his closest friends because they didn't remove him from the VC in time. You know, you're not that depressed, you can just hang up the call.
Eric doesn't want to do this anymore. We're closing the group.
The moderator.
Wow! Wow!
He doesn't want to do it anymore.
He doesn't want to do it. He doesn't want to
Meadows,
do
just
it.
fucking do it now, Meadows!
You're a pussy. You're a pussy.
Run like a bitch.
Oh, Jesus.
You're a pussy.
Now, why am I telling this Dingo story first before anything else? NomisYalf is paranoid of everyone, including his friends. He manipulates them, and he uses things against them to manipulate them as well. This becomes a lot more relevant and apparent a lot later on. Now, something a lot of people don't know is NomisYalf has incredible attachment issues. Constantly tag you if you weren't in VC, ask where you were if you weren't in VC, complain if you were in other VCs, or complain if you were doing something in your life and have a tantrum about it. Nomis liked to have 100% control, and that was very similar when it came down to personal situations and his friends when we were VC. A couple of great examples is when he tagged me in his server, he cussed me out, called me a bunch of words, and when I didn't like that he was doing it in his main server, he said it was all a joke and tried to control the situation and tried to control me and how I was feeling. Probably a better case to actually demonstrate what I mean by this is when this Joe was having a crisis in his personal life and NomisYalf tried to convince him that he was a psychopath and tried to self-diagnose him. Now, for anybody that doesn't know, NomisYalf is like a mental health magnet. He's got everything under the sun. He's got Tourette's, he's got depression, he's got anxiety, and he's a psychopath. And in a time when this Joe needed help the most, NomisYalf tried to push all of this onto Joe, saying that he was a psychopath, and he's even admitted to this in a VC.
I couldn't really show much emotion and like sympathy or empathy, mainly because I was like depressed during that time. And I think it was pretty fucked up that you pretty much thought I was like a psychopath.
I never said it was a bad thing. Sometimes psychopaths have trouble dealing with emotion or whatever, so that it just like they cut it off a little bit, but they don't do it intentionally.
You don't think
I
that's
didn't mean it as like.
you don't think that's weird to put on
bad
somebody?
thing.
You don't think that's weird to like just put on somebody? Like you don't think that gets them thinking, oh, I'm a fucking psychopath? Like you don't think that gets in their head?
I didn't mean it like that. That's not how I felt when I was diagnosed as one.
Now, Nomis saw nothing wrong that he had diagnosed one of his closest friends as being a psychopath and sort of just walked out, bombshell dropped, and left him there. He later apologized when everyone banded together to show him how wrong this truly is. While NomisYalf was making a lot of enemies behind the scenes of his friends, he was also making a lot of enemies publicly on YouTube and Twitter. Of course, some of these being Dingo, Tech Saint, but more importantly to the story as well, the YouTuber Malay. Now, of course, Malay is a complete utter degenerate, and that doesn't change in this story either. However, NomisYalf was very close friends with Malay before switching up on him, understandably, and not wanting to communicate with him anymore. Now, after Malay's reputation was dragged through the mud, Malay decided he wanted to use an art piece from this specific user. Now, long story short, they didn't want Malay to use this piece of art, and Nomis was pretty close with this person and threatened to sue Malay. Of course, this is completely false and it's one of Nomis's more extreme actions. Now, the artist in question that he was actually defending, he'd made a parody video on a couple of months previously called The Sexiest YouTuber Artist. This in itself is a bit creepy, regardless if it's a parody. I don't know why you'd ever upload that to YouTube, but it gets worse when you realize that this artist in particular is a close friend of Nomis, who is also 17.
Oh, well, definitely the all-time sexiest artist ever. The fucking most amazing. Thank you.
Nomis claims to be in his mid-20s and has said this several times, which makes this situation very weird and very creepy. Why you'd ever do this publicly with anyone, regardless of age, is disturbing to me. It's just weird and disturbing, especially to put that up on the platform of YouTube publicly. And again, this piece of information will become more relevant later on.
Did not regret. And I didn't regret it. He's a pedo and that shit.
Until this point, I've demonstrated each of Nomis's mental breakdowns. He had a mental breakdown with the Dingo situation, with the Malay situation, with this Joe situation, and during that, a couple of other little ones where he attacked his own friends. His paranoia and attachment led to his final mental breakdown where all his friends decided to leave him. This is a very quick recap of the situation. Basically, everyone, including Nomis, was in my trash talk server and we were all calling. Now, mods were disconnecting him from the VC as he and other mods in his server disconnected him from his VC. Now, Nomis being the hypocrite he is, didn't like this and threatened to me that if anyone does this one more time to him, that he will ban me from his server. He got disconnected one more time where he banned me from his server and messaged me saying he was suicide entangled and that I made it worse for him. On top of this, because he's got extreme paranoia, he believed that everyone in that VC was out to get him, so removed all of their roles, including friends that weren't even there, and made them feel like shit. He then proceeded to send his friends pictures of his self-harm wrapped up in bandages. During this, me, Ashley, Fabio, Joe, Azaz, and several other users got into a GC where we were discussing Nomis and why we don't want to be friends with him anymore, which led to a lot of the stuff discussed in today's video. Nomis continued using his self-harm as a manipulation tactic before admitting it was a manipulation tactic, apologizing, and then trying to throw the Dingo face thing in my face to get a final. This didn't work. He apologized to everyone and left, knowing that all of his friends had left him. When we parted ways with Nomis, we all agreed that we would keep this private as it wasn't a public situation, although a little bit had kicked off my server, so I did address that. However, Nomis struggled to keep this a secret and told several people, and when Ashley wasn't liking this and spoke to Nomis, he then dragged it into his server where he spoke to Ashley and disregarded several things about it. This is when more lies and manipulation came up, and that's when we all had a debate and spoke about.
People say, oh, we're falling out, whatever. It's not hard to do. Because now you've made the situation worse. Now people are riled up, fucking ready to do crap.
Harder when you have Tourette's.
I don't care. Like, so it's... Life's hard.
That's arguably my favourite part of the debate, him excusing his typing on Tourette's. By the end, we came to the conclusion that Nomis should maybe take a break, a mental sabbatical, so nothing like this would happen again in the future, and he wouldn't be speaking about this publicly yet again. However, it wasn't until the next couple of days he would actually speak about this publicly on Twitter. This is where he accused and got several other people to accuse Ashley of doxing his face of a public image. Yeah. And several other times, Nomis came out on Twitter to publicly slate a lot of us, which we found very hypocritical, seeing as he had gone back on his word twice now. And seeing as he went against his word and was manipulating the story for his own gain, we came out with the actual story, with the actual debate and proved facts, and he got a lot of hate for it. Now, this is where the situation takes a turn for the worse. It goes from Nomis being a degenerate, being creepy, being weird, but overall a lighthearted situation to a very dark, creepy situation. This is where I'm issuing a warning. Some of the following stuff is pretty disturbing, so watch at your own accord, I guess. If you don't like this sort of stuff, don't watch. Now, because of the public stuff that had gone down on Twitter, we were made aware that there was a snitch within our community of people and that Nomis was finding out a lot of information from it. And because of the certain information he knew, we knew it was from a certain date onwards, so we all showed each other's DMs with Nomis. And this one user that showed their DMs with Nomis, now this person in question does want to remain anonymous, showed their DMs, it showed something pretty disturbing. There were messages between this user and Nomis, bearing in mind this user was 17 and Nomis was in his mid-20s, that showed that they were having flirtatious conversations. So in these conversations, Nomis is seen supporting this user in question. Over amongst these conversations, he's calling this user kind heart, saying that they're very cute, very sweet, and just really, really flirtatious stuff. Like the video, this user is at the age of 17 and Nomis is in his mid-20s. A really creepy situation. However, it's just that. It's really weird and really creepy. However, after Nomis found out about all of this and all of this actually coming out in a GC, he kicked off at this user in question and tried to manipulate them into hopping on a video to try and explain their innocence. Bullshit. Your mental health matters. Meanwhile, mine has been completely destroyed and is still killing me. My brain is fucked over with me over this the whole time. It's mentally destroyed me. When mental health is broken to its lowest, there's nothing lower now. And all I ask was for you to take responsibility for me when they're explain your end and do whatever from there. I'm not asking you to make a video or anything like that. I'm just asking that you take a little bit of time to appear in my video and explain your end, and considering that you did, I felt it was fair just to take responsibility for your fuck up and do that explanation. And yeah, your mental health matters, but from what I've seen, the only thing you are caring about is yourself. You were my friend and you did betray me, and I'm willing to forgive you genuinely. All I asked was that you take responsibility, that's it. I just asked you to take responsibility, that's it. Explain your end and leave it alone forever. I'm going to make this video, you just explain your bit and that's it. The user in question followed it up by saying that Nomis said you already got yourself involved when you stabbed me in the back and made me out to be a pedo. Now, the user here who was involved with Nomis here was incredibly scared about this whole situation, and me, Mummy Ashley, who used to go by General Thickboy, helped them to come out of this with the best possible scenario. The user in question did not want to appear on Nomis's video, and the fact Nomis would use any of this to manipulate this user is very low and shows that he only cares about his reputation rather than his actual friend. There was no doubt in my mind that these messages between Nomis and this user are creepy, they're weird and they're disturbing, and the user in question has left Nomis's server and blocked Nomis. However, I wouldn't go so far to say it's pedophilic or grooming or anything that far. I think it's just weird and creepy. Final message overall is I think Nomis needs to own up to a lot of his mistakes throughout this video. There's a lot that he has to apologize for and a lot he needs to own up for, mainly with that user near the end of the video. What you did, Nomis, was of course creepy, but what you did afterwards to manipulate the situation and try and manipulate this person was absolutely gross and made it 10 times worse. I'm not here to slander your name, and people can take from what those images as what they want, but you of course believe that there was something that bad that you needed to manipulate this person, your friend, into doing this. Throughout this video, I've demonstrated why you, Nomis, have brought all this hate upon yourself, and you need to take a hard look in the mirror.